Welcome, honored guests. Come pay tribute to the spirits of your ancestors. You know well the rules. Stay indoors at night. Fight not near water. Avoid wandering shadows. But above all, never eat the offerings.
For the living, the toil of your mortal soul. Let me end its anguish. The show is about to begin.
Superstition. Fairy tales. How hungry can the dead be?
Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome to this Warriors Den recap video. Guys, okay, I am really excited right now. Today's Warriors Den was phenomenal. One of the best Warriors Dens we've had in a while. So much good happened, so much awesome stuff was shared. I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time too. But I know that some of you folks out there couldn't catch the Warriors Den stream. You were busy, you had work, you had school, you had stuff going on, or you just didn't want to sit through a 2-hour-long live stream. Hey, I get it, I understand, but that's why I'm here today, to share with you guys basically what was said in this Warriors Den and get you up to date on what is coming next season, next week, of For Honor in Year 7, Season 3, Deceit. So, let's not waste any more time and get right into what's coming next season. Oh boy, this is going to be great. So, the Aztec stuff is pretty much behind us. We're moving into Wulin themed stuff, and boy. Okay, let's start off with the stuff that I really enjoy, the stuff that I can really commentate on. The lore and theme. First of all, I'm not going to claim that For Honor developers have been listening to me, but I do feel like my dreams kind of came true with this season. In my Wulin video, I said that I felt like the Chinese culture the Wulin came from is an essential gold mine of opportunity, and the For Honor developers would be remiss not to try to tap into that and look more into that Chinese culture. And what they've done here is not only that, but more. They have done something very impressive. So here's the setup. The Wulin are apparently planning something very deceptive and sneaky with Heathmore. They're partaking in a yearly celebration, based on a real-world yearly celebration, called the Hungry Ghost Festival. Now, I didn't know much about this festival, so after the stream, I went out to eat at a nearby Asian steakhouse where my friend Shirley works. She's a Chinese immigrant, and she and I hit it off very quickly. She's very friendly. And I told her about the whole situation, told her about this new season coming, and told her about this Hungry Ghost Festival, and asked if she'd ever heard of it. She said she had, and she told me a little bit about it. The Chinese name for this festival is, and forgive me if I butcher this pronunciation, but the Chinese name for this is Zhongyuanjie, and it's a Buddhist and Taoist festival celebrated across Southeast Asia. It's celebrated on the 7th month of the Chinese calendar, and at this time the gates of heaven and hell open, and the spirits of the dead return to the earth, hungry, thirsty, and pretty much starved for entertainment. To honor them and placate them, a festival is thrown with plays, performances, food offerings, and beautiful art and lanterns. But there are strict rules to be followed. You cannot eat the food offerings, you cannot sit in the chairs reserved for the ghost, and you must respect the rights of the deceased. Not doing these things could cause those dead to linger and bring misfortune on you and your family. And it seems here that the Wulin have invited the other factions to join them in Zhongyuanjie, knowing that the other factions would not adhere to those rules. See, they know that these factions don't know the rules, they don't understand the culture, they don't understand what's going on. So what'll happen is when they break these rules, this will anger their ancestors, and the dead will wreak vengeance upon the foolish and ignorant factions, which will lead to the Halloween event mode. A very clever trap laid by the Wulin that ties into their culture, history, and outlook. It is a brilliant idea, better than one I could have imagined. It is absolutely top-tier writing, And you know what? It proves to me that the writers at Ubisoft can create good lore when they really want to. I hope to see more stuff like this in the future. And again, I'm not so arrogant as to think that they took my advice or anything, but I am very pleased that my fears were unrealized here. Look at it, Horkos isn't mentioned, Chimera isn't mentioned. We're seeing actual history and culture explored to create an actual awesome season centered around that culture and lore. Fantastic work. And can I just say that the opening theme music that we heard while we were waiting for the Warriors Den to start was baller. What a great way to tie into the season too. Which the starting of the music was kind of, you know, jovial, kind of goofy, kind of what you'd expect from a Chinese opera. But then it moved into this epic beat of drums and just, oh, it felt